Fine, so today I would like to present my ideas on literary criticism, right, which is very common, heard, but not used today. But so I'm sorry to say that, but today we don't use those writings and those writers, what we read and what we heard. Well, I'm just 30, but still, as far my knowledge is concerned, the writers whom I have read and the culture, what was being in universities those days, today we don't find. Today, what we find is text and breaking text. Right? You have cultural theories, you have gender studies, you have feminism, you have whole lot of new concepts, more than 70 concepts after 1980s. Right? So before that, let me say that we live in the age of criticism, right, which constitutes major intellectual activities of present times. Right? It is comprehensive and it is acceptable, but not used. Well, I don't want to really read the paper just like that. So my central question, right? So the question is, are we really with criticism? Forget about literary criticism or cultural criticism or any theory for that matter. Right? Are we with criticism, as Arnold says, criticism of life? Is that happening? So I have taken up T.S. Eliot, right? And the one word what I would like to use from T.S. Eliot is being impersonal. Whether it is a poem or a play or any sort of work, right? It should be purely impersonal. Right? What we find is too much of personal subjectivity which has been introduced in works, right from Aristotle, right, where we start with Poetica, and then later down lane you find Dryden, then you have Arnold and this Culture and Anarchy, and you have function of criticism at the present time, T.S. Eliot. But when it comes to 20th century, we have three prominent critics, say F.R. Lewis, I. Richards, and T.S. Eliot. And T.S. Eliot, right, it is not that a person of his stature is not too recognized, but still, as if you are a literature student, you cannot ignore T.S. Eliot. People remember Shakespeare, people remember other, say, tag writers, but to say about criticism and literature, it was T.S. Eliot and his works, from his tradition and individual talent, and the masterpiece, The Wasteland, which really brought up, say, the entire world at a place through his representation of London City, right? So his London was in fact the world, and I would like to mention 6 lines of W.B. Yeats, right, from his poem Second Coming, right? Turning and turning in the widening gyre, the falcon cannot hear the falconer, things fall apart, center cannot hold, it's mere anarchy loosed upon the world. So this was sentence somewhere in 20th century. So today what we don't find is this. Today I'm sorry to say that whether it is a novel or a poem or any sort of critical or intellectual activity which is happening, right, it is not happening through the lines what we were acknowledged with. We read Dickens, we read Hardy, we read Arkenara. So these were the writers where you find that literature and whether it is Indianness or literature in common. Right? Literally we felt all these writings. But today we don't find, because we are breaking things. Right? Literally we are breaking the words. For everything there is a text. Everything has been highlighted, everything has been questioned. But there are certain things which you cannot question. Because literature is emotion. Literature is feeling. So we are not possessing that emotion or sensibility towards society. Right? So it's my request, and it's a question in fact, that should we continue with this as we are dismantling every word and every text, right? Should we continue this, or should we go back to that literature or the world which we have read? Right? So I would like to thank the chairperson and the people sitting here. And it's really good to be here, say, at International Writers Festival, to understand many languages and many regions. Right? So it was really very nice to hear people yesterday and today. Right? So thank you.
Thank you,
Thank you so much.
Spoken about
जी,
literary
बहुत अच्छा है, बहुत
criticism
अच्छा है।
and started with the question, are we truly criticizing?